Hello everyone and welcome to another video with me, Umber Rays, and today we're taking a look at the new stuff on the JP side. There's a couple of really big things that I want to talk about, so we're going to cover all of that in this video, and I'm sure you Globalers will be interested in at least some of it. So let's take a look first of all at the banners thing, because one of the things I usually do get asked is like, hey, are there ever step-up banners or guaranteed banners in Japan in the future? And the answer is yes. You have your standardized banners, but and you have your paid lapis. But even right now, we are seeing a little bit of some step-up banners. So here is a step-up banner that is basically guaranteeing you, some type banners. This one is water and wind. There will be a combination of many different elements. Does have a couple of URs on this one that are of specific elements as well. So maybe you want to get it this way. And interestingly, it also does still kind of give them monthly coins, which not terrible, not terrible. If you pulled Scar and or Skull, depending on which version you want to play, not a bad idea. If you already had that unit and you were looking to continue using that unit, not necessarily a bad idea. There also is, of course, the paid lapis guaranteed, very specific set of elemental URs. Not sure that I particularly like any of these right now, so I'm saying a giant skip. But getting back to banners, the two new banners are, of course, the brand new UR Vision card, which has Human Killer on it, and as someone I do believe pointed out, that it may not entirely work with the Odin card because I do believe they are both single. Yeah, I might have confused them. It does happen. There's a lot of things to remember. So anyway, different options for Human Killer. Either way, the artwork on this card sure is pretty, so not a bad one. But the real thing I want to talk about is just the Blood Moon, because wow, is this just something that I never thought we'd see in this game. I never considered, even for a second, that we would see trial bosses from Brave Exvius. Matter of fact, if you think about it, it's really kind of interesting because War of the Visions takes place in the past, the far past, so we technically get the summon and raise it to become a god that then tries to kill us in Brave Exvius. Interesting. Either way, while the card I think is totally, good for an MR or SSR quality card, the real thing I think is of value here is the summon. Interestingly, dealing with Pierce attacks on its summon board, as well as just being a primarily magic-based summon, because of course it is. But really, the thing I think is the most interesting is using the summon for its Doom property. Playing through the original, I guess there's only been one so far, the dungeon for Final Fantasy Tactics Part 2, some enemies, particularly the yellow chocobos, were really hard to kill because of hit rate, because of HP, because of the fact that they just healed, because they were so quick. But an actual decent strategy was to use someone like Ziza to cast Doom on them, because they cannot heal that, they cannot revive, and therefore it ended up just kind of being an effective strategy against them. And here is a summon with the Doom property, so I gotta say, I actually really, really, really like this. I think this is probably one of the better MR summons to get your hands on, so maybe into the future. But it is an MR. Now, the next big thing, and the thing that I didn't want to talk about earlier in the other videos, was equipment stacking. Equipment stacking has come to JP, basically meaning that when you equip your units before, if you had something like an accessory and a TMR, it would take the highest stat of a particular item and just equip that. Also, I'm noting that I don't have Shiden equipped. Oh. Okay, I feel better. Regardless, getting back to it, this means that essentially now you are getting higher stats on your characters because it is a cumulative effect. One thing I have noted from very early on, and I will go further in depth in this in another video. But the stat increase that I saw was not substantial. It was not like night and day a lot of the time. It was good. It was good that a lot of my characters were essentially, you know, stronger now. But one thing I noted was that while there was a stat increase, and it was a nice stat increase, it wasn't like... It's not like game-breaking, but one of the really big things about this is that I do think armor grinding and accessory grinding is much more important now. Mainly because before you could just essentially equip TMR, and the stats that were available on TMRs were good enough that you essentially like kind of negated a lot of the other equipment. TMRs could potentially make a lot of other equipment a lot more obsolete, like not necessarily things like evasion or aim a lot of the times, but defense and spirit particularly were something, and HP as well, because if you had a TMR, usually they have a fair amount of stats. So yes, for anybody global who is wanting to prepare for this, alright, I'll admit it, equipment farming, accessories, and armor is finally needed. There you go. Celebrate however you want. And the last thing I really want to talk about, I might do another video about comparisons of equipment stacking now, because I did take some before and after photos of some of my characters in certain party compositions, so you can kind of see what that will be, but I'm going to keep that for another one, because I'd like to keep this video relatively short. Anyway, the tower has returned. For everybody who was wondering on Global, who was asking me in the comments and everything, the reason I did not comment before, didn't know 100%, wanted to make sure exactly what we were getting into before I said anything, and here it is. Yes, Rain Sword is obtainable in the second of the Porcelain Towers. It is not available from completing the tower, but it is now is essentially just getting currency from the tower and spending that currency to get the weapon. So this is probably going to be the way it is for the future. If anybody is like super interested and curious what I think, I do believe that this is just going to be the way it is from now on with towers. Basically, you getting the weapon in its first run of a tower is kind of like a bonus of you just get it, you just have it, you can just use it for that period between one tower and the next tower, and I think that is a good enough benefit. There are also other rewards too, as you can see. We got just lots of crafting materials, all of that, and so I think that this is good. Now, taking a look at the tower itself, one thing that is coming back is basically works the exact same way all the way to the top. Taking a quick look from my impressions. Starting at the bottom, I would say that most of it looks pretty darn easy. Pretty standardized in terms of rewards. As you can see, for the first little bit, you're getting about 100 currency. About 150 currency as you go up, some multi-tickets for shards and whatnot, some SSR orbs, and then as we go up, we get into the level 10, going further. Honestly, I don't see it like really difficult until floor 20. I think that that UR orb is a very clear measure of shit's got real. Not only that, but we are starting to see we go from like MR related characters to just UR related characters as we are going up. Oh look, it's a stern sandwich and you're the middle. But yeah, continuing on your way up, wow, that I didn't see that floor earlier, but gill snappers. Leveled gill snappers. Uh-oh. As you continue on, we can see just the rewards that are going up, pretty standard until you get to the top EX floor, where this is the new piece of equipment that you are trying for. It is a UR quality ring, the water ring, I do believe. By playing this, you'll probably get enough materials to upgrade it from a combination of the shop and whatnot. Taking a look at the enemies though, a couple of healers, a couple of fist users, some elementals, but also Siren. Yeah. So we're starting to see the bosses end up as just the summons, which is something that I thought was going to be for a while, but this is basically your trial content. It is time limited, but it is trial content, so there you go. This also recommends job level 15 and unit level 90, so probably going to need to bring some big swinging dicks to get there. Anyway, so there you go. And last but not least, the EX stages. For anybody who is not aware on Global, these are the extra challenge stages. These are more difficult than the regular stages that you find. They do have a good amount of bonuses, like for instance the level 10 EX floor, only level 50 enemies. I think this should be doable by most people, and the requirements aren't that hard. You're also getting another UR orb, another ticket, as well as some lapis. This one's probably going to be a little more difficult, but still doesn't seem to require anything that is outside the realm of LB3, although probably, you know, nice to have. And then last is the level 30 EX floor, which does have another one of these, interestingly. Yeah, the EX stages are quite a bit difficult, so guess what? I'll have to wait and see when I get through the tower to try it. Now, one more thing to mention for anybody in Global is that for other kind of towers, you have had the option to play through it multiple times to get enough resources to fully max some of the things you get from here. It is basically, that's just it. You can do the towers multiple times. I do believe that the first time resetting the tower is free, but the second time after, it does cost lapis, but I never got that far in the other one, so. Anyway, that's a brief overview of some of the stuff that has come to JP here on June 24th. So, yeah, the tower, I'm pretty sure that Global will be getting theirs first. It won't be quite as difficult as this one, maybe. Preemptively saying it, but there you go. I'll give you one good tip for the tower. Opening stages from at least floor 8, floor 10, you don't want to be using any abilities because ability usage is restrictive. So if you go through the first stage and you use all of your unit's abilities, guess what? You have no abilities for the next floor. So you've got to be careful how much you spend, what you spend it on, and using just the autoing, take ability use off because it will end up making you sad. Anyway, that's all for now. Take care and see you next time. Have a good one.